Hello everyone and welcome back, Dom here, and on this video we're going to have some fun. I'm going to show you how to create a synthwave track from scratch using just the instruments that you can find in Absolute Collection. So let's get this 80s vibe going and let's get started. So here we are in Cubase, and as you can see I've already loaded some sounds. Usually I don't like working with templates when I'm producing synth-based tracks like this, but in this case I wanted to show you some of the sounds that I really like using, so I already loaded a selection so that you don't have to watch me selecting the sounds. The first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm going to get some groove. I want some drums. For the drums, I'm going to use Groove Agent 5, and I'm going to load one of my favorite kits when it comes to synthwave stuff. So I'm going to open my load panel, and there are quite a few presets here, of course, but I'm going to select the one that I think is great for synthwave stuff, and that's this one, the Retroactive kit. Okay, now I can close this, and now let's play it and see how it sounds. So it has pretty much this vintage 808 sound, and you can of course customize it if you want, and that's what I'm going to do right now. The first thing I want to do, and that's one of the things that Groove Agent as a drum sampler does very, very well, is routing. So I want to make sure that my kick drum is on a separate bus, the snare is on a separate bus, my hi-hats are on a separate bus, and the same goes for the clap. I think these are all the elements that I'm going to use for this one. I'm gonna keep it simple. So kick drum, you know what, I'm going to color it as well, just because I feel nice and I want to color it. Let's go for the clap. Let's make this clap yellow, and the snare, maybe I can make it green, like this. This one, and this is the hi-hat and the open hi-hat. Let's paint those a different color as well, maybe like that. And now let's send them to a different bus. Kick drum, I'm going to right click and send it to output 2. Snare, I'm going to send it to output 3, and the clap to output 4, like this. And the hi-hats, both of them, I'm just control clicking or command on the Mac, and I'm going to send these to output 5. And just like magic, check this out, if I click on this right here in Cubase, Groove Agent has already created the buses for me, and it has named the buses correctly. You have no idea how much I appreciate this. I think it's a huge time saver when you're working with drums, but check it out now if I play. Kick drum, clap, snare, and hi-hats, all on separate buses, so I can process them separately. Straight away, I'm doing this. Amazing. Now, the one thing that I'm going to do is, of course, I'm going to go to my mixer, and I'm going to just pull them down a little bit. I'm going to use the pre-gain section inside Cubase. I like doing it this way. So let's try it and see how it sounds now. Great, now what I want to do is I want to program a very simple groove to get me going so I can have some chords, you know, in there. Let's go and create a nice drum groove. So, kick drum and snare first. Let's hit record. That's it, that's fine, quantize, and now let's add a nice hi-hat. You know what, I'm going to pull down the volume for this one. And you know what I'm going to do for the hi-hat? I like doing this with Groove Agent. I like going to the pitch page right here, and I like to randomize the pitch just a tiny bit. I'm going to record first, and then I'm going to show you how it sounds. Let's see. Right, nice. So now I can basically merge those together, and let's listen to it. Now, this hi-hat is very mechanical, which is fine. It's very typical of this kind of music, but I just want to give it a little bit of life, just a tiny bit. I'm going to go to the pitch page, and I'm going to randomize it a little bit. Let's see how it sounds. So if you go too much, I don't want this, I just want a tiny bit, so that it sounds like it's a different sample every time, okay? Nice. And now I'm going to send my snare, and that's why I wanted it in separate buses, to a reverb that I have here. And let's do this. I'm going to go here, send it to my snare reverb, and I'm going to show you what reverb I use as well. And let's go 0. Yeah. Okay, so I am using this reverb as a send. It's Revelation. And I'm following it with a gate. So I'm not sure if I want to get this kind of gated snare sound, but I'm moving towards this way, this direction, okay? So let's see if we can change this. I just want to make sure that the tail of the reverb doesn't bleed into the next kick drum beat, because I want to keep things neat, right? I don't want this to be like super long. I just want to make sure I tame it a little bit. So that's without the gate. Right. Great, I like this. Now all I need to do is just duplicate it a few times, because I'm going to go ahead and move to the chords. Let's add a few copies of it. And now I want to add some nice big 80s toms. Let's do this. I'm going to go and add a new Groove Agent instance. So I'm going to just create an instrument, Groove Agent. And in this case, I'm not going to load a kit. I'm going to just find some nice toms from my library and just drop them in. So I'm going to open my load panel here, and I'm going to go for instruments this time. And in this case, I'm going to search for some toms. Nice. And of course, I can audition those toms. I like these stand-up toms, but I think I'm gonna need to tweak them a little bit to fit what I have in my head, right? So let's go and add them. I'm going to add them to the usual tom. So let's go for A. Okay, I can play it straight away. And maybe G for this one, and F for this one. Perfect. I can close this now. We're done. Now let's see what I can do. They're very nice. I just want them to be a little bit with a higher pitch, right? This is not as high as I want it to be. Now, normally on another sampler, what you would do is you would go to your sample and then you would change your pitch. And this is fine, but we can do so much better with Groove Agent. Let me show you how. Okay? The problem with this is we lose a little bit of the attack that I want. I like this top layer, but I want to just make the tonal element higher. And in Groove Agent, we can do this very easily. All you need to do is go to the decompose page, and here I can pre-listen. Let's see. Let's listen to just the tonal element. Decompose basically takes that sample and splits it into two layers, the tonal layer and the noise layer. So now I can change the sensitivity. And let's listen to the noise. Aha, this, I don't want this to be affected. Very nice. And tonal. Good. Let's hit apply. And it's done now. Now let's play it and see, I can see the two different layers. This is the noise. This is the tonal. And I can actually change the start of the tonal element. Right. Now, I want to change the pitch of the tonal element. And let's go ahead and activate the Edit Selected Samples mode so that we don't affect the entire pad, actually. I just want to affect that specific sample here. So let's go here, and I'm going to go pitch. And let's see if I can add a pitch envelope. See, now I'm affecting just the tonal element. And you know what? I want to see the waveform as well. I'm happy with that. That gave me the sound that I was looking for. Let's go for the other one. This is nice. It's a little bit too long for what I need. Let's go to decompose and let's pre-listen. Okay, I think somewhere around here is fine. Let's listen to the noise. Ooh, nice, I like this. Apply. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to go to my amp and just make it a little bit shorter. I think it's too long. Same with this one, actually. Yes, I like this now. And this is nice. I just need to make it a little bit shorter. Maybe like that. Yes, now they're tight. Now let's pan them left and right. Okay, and now let's send those to my gated reverb as well, okay? And let's see how they sound now. Nice, we're good. Let's add some toms now to our arrangement. Yes, that's nice. Now I have also a little bit of variation with the toms there, and I'm going to duplicate them a few times as well. Great. And you know what, for this clap, I'm going to add the Roomworks reverb for this one. You know what, actually, I'm gonna do one of my favorite tricks in Cubase. I'm going to add the stereo delay to make this clap super wide, okay? These are the settings, copy them. This is the Haas effect, you can make everything super wide. Let's listen to it now. Yes. So without it... Okay, now, chords. Let's do some chords now. Now that we have our drums there, I want to lay down some chords because I'm gonna turn this into a song. I'm going to add a few more things later on with the drums, I'm gonna show you, but let's go for the chords, okay? So in order to do the chords, I want to select a nice sound. And for this one, I'm going to use a sound that comes from one of our synths in Absolute Collection. It's called Voltage, and it sounds really nice and analog. Alright, let's record. I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep everything, but I need a guide for now. Let's do this. Let's change key. Okay, that's all I need for now as a guide, but I'm definitely gonna use this sound later on. This is a great sound because it allows me to differentiate the chorus from the verse. I can use this for my verse. And then open the filter for my chorus. And I think that I have a nice foundation right now. There's a key change in the chorus, which is not very typical, I guess. Maybe it is. Let us know in the comments down below. With synthwave tracks, they tend to be on the same key, but I think, you know, a nice surprise in the chorus is always great. You know, let's try and build some momentum. Now, what's a synthwave track without a driving bass line? For this, I'm going to use the mighty Retrolog 2. Here it is. This is a sound that I've created. It's a very simple sound, and it sounds like this. Now, the whole point of this sound It's, as I said, it's extremely simple. Again, all the settings are here. Feel free to, you know, just pause the video, check what I've done. It's nothing complicated. I'm using 3 oscillators. So I'm using all the oscillators that Retrolog has to offer apart from the sub, because I'm going to use another Retrolog for the sub separately. And I'm also using a little bit of filter, the envelope for the filter, of course. And the trick is here. I have an arpeggiator that I've programmed, and check what I've done. I'm going to sidechain all these synths so that they pump a little bit, right, with the kick drum. But even when I'm sound designing, I like to help the sound from the synthesizer already, and Retrolog is great for this. So here's what I've done. So see, basically, my velocities, they follow the kick drum pattern, like how they would sound if I was sidechaining them. So it goes from low to high, so up, 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 and I've done this for all of them. So, and the same thing I've done for the filter. Okay, very, very simple. But it already makes this arpeggiator move a little bit, okay? So that's the one thing. I've added just a few effects here, just a little bit of reverb, very tiny bit of reverb, just a tiny bit. And I've also added a little bit of chorus. Now, here's another trick that I've done here. I've actually duplicated this part on 2 channels. So see, I have drive arp left and drive arp right. Okay, now I duplicated those channels and I panned them left and right. See, left and right. Why? Because Retrolog has these free oscillators, right? So why have I done this? It's so that I can take full advantage of the free phase oscillators that Retrolog has. This way I can get a super wide sound because the oscillators don't sync with each other. Even if they're free, I get even a wider sound when I'm panning them left and right, and I have 2 instances of Retrolog. And I've sent them to a bus, and here I've added, just for a little bit of grit, the Destroyer plugin that you can find in Cubase, and it sounds like this without. And it might sound a little bit excessive to you right now, but when we get all these synths going, trust me, this will help these driving arpeggios to cut through the mix. So I'm keeping it there. I know it's gonna work. Let's start recording. Maybe I can have a riff here. Verse. I'm gonna keep this, and I'm gonna change it now. Yes. Again, static note, the top chords are playing. New chords here. And that's it. Now I think we have our driving synth bass. Okay, let's duplicate this, and I think we should be good to go. Now, let's add a few more elements. I want to show you a trick that I like to do on tracks like this, and this is the snare top layer that I have here, and I haven't used it yet, but basically, it's just a noise generator from Retrolog. You can see the settings, it's a dead simple sound, but what I like to do is I like to take the snare, I'm going to select just the snare, okay, I'm copying just the drum parts and I'm keeping just the snare, okay? And now, this I'm going to send to the reverb as well, and this is going to give me an even more 80s kind of reverb. Let me show you. Without it, Okay? I'm going to add just a little bit of it, not too much. Okay, and now the crash. The crash, guess what? It's also retrolog. Okay, same noise generator, but with longer release. Let's do this. Great, that's all I need. One hit. And then I can duplicate it a few times. Okay, I can add it wherever I want. So let's see. Now I need to add the sub, right? Here we have another retrolog instance. I'm using retrolog a lot because it really sounds very organic. It can sound very retro if you want it to sound retro. So let me show you. Again, very simple sound, but retrolog sounds so good, even with two oscillators. And now I'm going to maybe copy this into here, and let's see how it sounds. This is a little bit overpowering, but we need to help it with something. We need to add sidechain. And in this case, I'm going to go to my bus where I have all my synths routed, and I have a compressor here that is in sidechain mode. And here I can add a sidechain input. And the beauty in Cubase is that you can add multiple sidechain inputs. Let's do this. I'm going to search for my kick. There we go. Simple. And go 0, make it post fader, and I'm also going to sidechain everything to my snare as well. Let's go snare, there we go, 0, and we go like this. Now, let's listen to it. Okay, great. Now I think we can lower this volume for this pad. Because now I have the guide, I have the Arps and everything. Let's add some sparkle now. The first thing that I want to do, because I'm missing it already, is I want to have an intro sound. For this one, I'm going to use another instance of retrolog. Let's listen to the sound. And you know, if you have retrolog and you have all the instruments in Absolute Collection, honestly, you can get away with not using samples for these kind of things because it's so easy to build all these sounds. These are all sounds that are built from scratch. The trick with this sound is that I use this filter. It's the AP LP6 filter, and it sounds really beautiful. Now, if I switch it to LP24, so low pass, it sounds a little bit different, but I like this kind of sound. So experiment with the filters. They sound really, really great. And for this one, I think I added a little bit of phaser as well, a little bit of delay, and some reverb. So it's all there, just one simple noise generator. Let's record this. Done. I'm happy with this. Let's add some more sounds. I'm going to add a nice, twinkly sound from Pat Shop. This is called Equatorial Harmonics. Okay, let's play it. I think this is going to add a nice top layer. Great. I'm happy with this. Let's go for some melodies. Why don't we add a nice melody, maybe a riff, something that sounds very 80s. And I think I have some sounds here. Let me see. I have this sound from Pad Shop 2. This is the granular synthesizer. I like this. It has a nice brassy kind of a sound. And what about this one? This is called Pink Diamond, and it sounds like this. I like this one because it has a nice attack. So combining the two, the brassiness of Bobby's Dream and Pink Diamond, I get a very nice sound. Let's see. And I think this is going to cut through the mix as well. So let's record. And riff. Yes, we have a nice riff now. You know what else I want to add? I want to add some nice stabby sound. So when the chorus hits, we have this kind of, this kind of sound, this kind of polysynth of the 80s kind of sound. For this one, I'm going to use Retrolog again, and it's a sound that I've created, and it just has this nice attack that I think it will help with the choruses. So let's do this. Yeah. Nice. So let's see what we have here. This is a nice sound. You know what? I might use this sound for the development of the verse, especially when it goes from, because the thing is, I always think of it in a musical way and then the sounds come, So we have a verse that goes like very static note, D, and then we have the chords that basically cascade on top of that. And we are kind of in a static place, but then so there's a build-up and there are all these suspended chords. Okay, so I think I'm gonna use this for this. If you come up with an idea, don't let it go. Just print it, record it. Let's see, I'm going to go to my verse. And you know what? This sound from Pad Shop, the Analog Love, has this cool thing on the mod wheel, which is going to be very cool, I think, as a transition effect. So let's record this into the verses. Now is the time. Okay, and since we're in this 80s mood, we need to add an arpeggiator, right? I think I'm going to use Retrolog for this one. This has a nice arpeggiator that I've programmed, just for a little bit of extra sparkle. Let's do this. Give it some space. And now we go. And now I think we have a very nice bass so that we can invite our singer and lay down some vocals. And let's do this. So now let's listen to how this sounds after we've recorded some vocals on top of the arrangement. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you have loads of fun with Absolute Collection, make some great music, and I'll see you in the next one.